Starting an agency is brave, and growing one at the same time as your peers is so confronting. But I have got Hanna here, who's a really good friend of mine from UnScripted Marketing. So welcome, episode 4 of the Agency Diaries.
Hello, congrats.
Thank you. And I really wanted to bring you on here today because we started at the same time. We are in the agency world. We do the same stuff. We go through the same motions. We have the same phone calls and we go, what is going on at the moment? So I wanted to bring you on to keep that real talk conversation and tell everybody a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you do.
So I'm Hanna, run UnScripted Marketing with my sister Tabs. We've been going for officially about 4 years now. So worked with you at another agency. I think we left similar sort of times. And after lockdown, decided to go freelance really, and then just kind of grown it from there. So yeah, we do a bit of everything, but I guess primarily social media management is kind of our thing. We love getting creative.
So we are based, and I always talk about it, in Sleepy Devon, which means that conversations around agency life, what does it mean, clients, services, all of those things, I don't feel as though we talk about it enough. So our comms is open quite regularly about it and about what's going on in the world. And I think, whether we're really close and our conversations are real and they're honest and they, cut through, whether it's seasonality, whether it's industry related, whether it's, end of financial year, whatever that is, opening up that conversation of agency life is really hard, is really important to me. And I know is really important to you because we talk about it a lot. But what sort of challenges, and without going into seasonality, what are the things that, you feel and find, especially in agency world, that you want to talk about on the pod in terms of, what are those sort of challenges that you feel a lot of?
I think definitely around parenting and running a business is probably one of the biggest challenges I've faced. I think, you always feel like you're split in two places and, having to utilise after school clubs and stuff like that. That's been a real struggle. And I think, constantly feeling like you're not doing either one well is really hard. And I think it's a choice that, whether you're a step-parent, parent, caregiver, whatever it is, you're constantly having to make and juggle what's more important at the time. Obviously I work with my sister. And so, that's come with its own challenges, which
I could not work with my brother. I don't know how you do that. I mean, you've probably got a better relationship, but I would literally kill my brother.
It's been really challenging. I think we're at a really good place now, and we have been for a little while. And I think it only started to get good when we both got really honest, and not in a sort of brutal, name calling kind of way, but just right, what do we actually want? How are we going to get there? How can I support your goals and dreams, and vice versa? And it was only then that we kind of, started to feel really aligned. And that wasn't that long ago. And weirdly, as is the case with most things then started to come our way that aligned with that. So I wouldn't say working with Tabs has been the biggest challenge, but I think we can't brush stuff under the carpet. So, whereas as siblings, we might not address certain things, whatever, we have to because we are in front of our clients every day.
Yeah.
And, we're out there.
And on social, really visible.
Oh my God. Yeah. And I would actually say that's probably one of the hardest things as well is that, we are quite visible. We work really hard on our socials and I do a lot of networking. I love it. But that does give an impression that we're doing really well all the time. And I think behind the scenes, it's often not like that. And so it's like finding the balance between being real and, being honest and open, but also not wanting to like air all your dirty laundry, that kind of thing.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, how honest can you be? And, it's quite brave and it's hard, isn't it, to kind of know where the line is, because I think we also see it in our industry a lot, or, you never want to come across as a pity party, or, there are lots of personal things that we could share that I know a lot of people would relate to, but it's just finding, that line.
Balance.
Yeah.
And again, that balance is, you're client facing. And actually, if your clients see that, then what does that mean if you are being that honest person? But the bottom line is you are a human being.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, isn't it? Because, we both started in that, like you say, we were in agency world. We then kind of went into the freelancer world, and then we went into, okay, so let's, you went with Tabs, and Obviously, we went into food and drink and how do you then change that from it's just me and I'm just doing this and, you know, it's a bit of a passion or a bit of a hobby to, oh God, like this is now a business. This is quite serious.
Like the responsibility shift, I think, you know, and I think I'm quite open about, you know, there have been months not that long ago where I couldn't pay my mortgage, for example. And we're very fortunate that Tabs has been able to be supported by her partner. So, you know, she's not taken a full salary until really recently. And it's things like that, you know, you want to get across, because I think it's very easy to look at agencies or even freelancers and think, oh my God, they've got their shit together. Oh, how have they managed to afford that? How have they invested in themselves? And, you know, behind the scenes, actually, there might be some extra things that are going on that you don't know. You know, some people might be living with their parents at home still to save up. You know, there's all these kind of things. And I think, you know, I've not really spoken about the financial side of it too much, but I do think it's important to get that across. Because,
100%.
you know, if someone's wanting to start out and they're looking at us, you know, we're trying to bring in 2 salaries. Like, it's a lot.
2 consistent salaries as well.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot. It's something, again, that I am so passionate about, because it is the responsibility of, you know, it's when you go, okay, so I've started this on my own and now actually I'm supporting however many other people in their lives, you know, to pay their mortgages, to live the way that they want to. And then that becomes responsibility, and deeply embedded responsibility as well.
Yeah. And I think maybe this is something we don't talk enough about, the responsibility of an employer, you know. And I think since COVID, there's been a real shift in mindset, but you have your employees that come in and out of your office every single day. You know, they spend most of their life working for you. To give them a good life, you know, that is your responsibility. And I think one of the reasons that we haven't hired yet is because we want to make sure we know what we're doing. But we're very conscious that, you know, you've got to make the right choices and be in a position where you can support your employees and support your team properly.
Yeah. And then I think if we are actually really honest about it, which is why I set up the Agency Diaries, because I don't think this stuff is talked about enough. I don't think, like you say, we're honest enough about agency life, if you like, because again, you know, you look online and it's all glossy, and actually, do people see you at like 2 a.m. in the morning? Like me last night thinking, oh my God, I've forgotten to do that thing. And I literally got myself out of bed, went to my computer and did an hour of work. And we had to start here at 9 o'clock this morning. Like, you don't talk about that stuff. But you probably should talk about that stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's also talking about it in a way that's not like
you say, pity party.
Yeah, or like showing off, or, you know, yeah, it's hard graft. I don't want to ever glamorize that, you know. But I think particularly, you know, with a stepdaughter, like working around school schedules, after school clubs, all that kind of stuff, you know, our hours look different anyway.
Yeah.
Let alone when you are head of agency, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, luckily in my business, I'm the more kind of client facing, so Tabs gets shit done.
Yeah.
There is an element of I can protect Tabs from that a little bit, but yeah, it's oh my God, I didn't write that down and I must do something about it immediately.
Oh God, I hate that. And I'm so organised as well. I try and write everything down, and then some things will come to me and I'm like, oh, I didn't write that down.
Or
the worst part.
Even like so basic, but writing notes and then looking back at the notes and being like, wait, what was that conversation?
Because there's so many at speed, consistently as well. So, which takes us really nicely onto imposter syndrome is such a buzzword in our industry, I feel. In marketing, in creatives, in agency world, is a bit of a buzzword.
Yeah.
But it's real.
Yeah.
And it's that feeling of, exactly like you said, it's glamorizing agency creative life to... You know, you see on Instagram, don't you? And I will always revert back to this. And me and my team talk about it all the time. The woman, the agency founder, pointy heels on the table, like laptop or phone in hand. And you're like, how does she not, 1, look knackered, 2, like is not brimming with things out of her head? Like that is not real. That is not a real like view of what it actually looks like. For me, maybe I've got it all wrong, but tell me, imposter syndrome, is it a thing?
Yeah, mental. And I think it then feeds into every part of your life as well. So, you know, and then I don't know if this is like a bit niche, but I think you then tend to almost like self-sabotage sometimes as well, because you don't think you're good enough or you don't think you've worked hard enough for something. And I think one of the things we're really trying to exercise at the moment is like just saying yes and just get on with it. You know, don't overthink it, just do it. And if you can't do it, get help. You know, there's so many people in our industry that can help. And I think actually trying to take it on all ourselves, I think there's that culture of, oh, we mustn't share our ideas or our plans or how we do stuff because, you know, we've got to be competitive and, you know, everybody's a competitor. And actually, I think, you know, 9 times out of 10, if you actually reach out and say, look, I've got this client, blah, 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 you know, we're struggling with it, people do want to help.
Yeah, they do.
I think, confidence is a massive thing. And especially, for women in industry as well. You know, I think we are on the side of caution.
Yes.
And it's hard. It's hard being a woman in business. You know, again, it's another thing that I think we can be really afraid to talk about because, you know, we don't want to be seen as alienating men, you know, or we don't want to be seen as, well, we can't work with men, you know, but actually being a woman in business is, I would say, 100 times harder than being a man in business.
Yeah, I agree. And from again, I always talk about a seat at a table. We have to work extra hard for that seat at that table. And when you get the seat, oh my God, sit in that seat and own that seat. Like, I'm here and I'm here for a reason. And I'm also fiercely passionate about that. You know, we're like a 90% all-female team. And to me, it's so important that we show that we are experts at what we do, but we don't lead with fluff, which, you know, again, go back to being in a marketing world. Actually, marketing can be quite fluffy and we can be seen as the fluffy person around the table. Yeah. So like you say, I think we do have to work harder to be seen a little bit more seriously. And actually, this person is making us money. That's why she's there.
Yeah. Totally.
So it's a difficult balance, isn't it? And it is, you know, you don't want to put people off by going, I'm female and I'm here because I'm female.
Yeah.
I want to be here because I'm a serious player and I've got value to add to this conversation. So it's a funny one, isn't it? That, again, I don't think we talk about it enough.
No, and I think it's just talking about it in a way that I just guess feels authentic to you, doesn't it? So,
yeah,
you know, they're all quite scary topics, really.
They are. They definitely are.
You know, I've had a couple of, you know, it was a little while ago now, but I talked about a couple of things that I thought were really relevant. And, you know, oh my God, the amount of comments I got that were just really negative, you know, from women as well, actually. And I wanted to delete it. And I was like, no, I'm going to stand by it, you know. And actually, what I have learned is 9 times out of 10, people don't read the whole post anyway.
No.
So they're commenting on the first line. But yeah,
the hook.
Those things, the hook, exactly. So yeah, it's when those things are going on as well, it's hard not to let it affect how you perform and, you know.
So, hardest decision you've had to make? What a question. Client, team, that you want to talk about, that we can air on the pod? Just put that in there.
Won't put any names in. No, I think I would say a few things, but I think the biggest one for us recently is, you know, client conflict. So having to turn down a really good opportunity that we really wanted because it...
Oh, that's a good one, Han.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
And we had to, of course, you know, put our current client first. And I stand by that decision. It was the right thing to do. But, you know, that was a bit of a gut punch of like, oh shit, we're actually at our current client's mercy, really. You know, and there was a lot of talk at the time, well, you know, can we take that opportunity? But then will that opportunity replace that one? But it's like, it can't work like that because we've spent years building this relationship.
Yeah.
You know, and we know we're a really good fit for them. But having to turn down something that means a lot to you, that's a sucker punch. And I think, you know, it was quite a pivotal moment for us actually, because we did realise, well, shit, what happens if we're, offered this opportunity again in the future? What are we going to do? You know, how are we going to make it work? And I think that situation did lead us to think about different ways of working so that, you know, we're staying true to what we want to do and where we want to progress, but we're also not letting anyone else down. And I think that's something that I haven't seen talked about.
How do you balance that? What's the best way to deal with it? If, like you say, one client is a dream client, but you're still you've got loyalties with your existing client, that then becomes really difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think we're really lucky that we can have open conversations and stuff, but ultimately, you know, the situation is what it is. You know, you can't change it. So
Yeah,
I think
hard.
it, took me a little bit longer to kind of get over that than it did Tabs. I think she's very good at looking at it very practically. I think I'm slightly more emotion led. And like I say, I wouldn't change it now. It was 100% the right thing to do. But no one prepares you for that situation, because I guess you just never think you might be in that situation. And, maybe we could have fought harder for it. But that's also not our style. So,
no, difficult one, isn't it, to navigate? And talking about sort of hardest decisions, it's an interesting one, because for me, and you know this because you know how much I love, and I talk about it all the time, I'm so fiercely passionate about email, right? We know this. I talk about it all the time. But one of our hardest decisions, or my hardest decisions, was stepping away from delivery of email. Like, I felt like I was giving...
Wow.
It's huge. And to try and explain that to my team, I'm like, whoa, this feels really uncomfortable, because it goes back to what you were saying earlier, like, I can do this quicker, or, I know how to do this. So actually, why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah.
But for the business, is that the best thing? No, it's not.
Totally. And actually, I think, again, luckily, where Tabs and my skills lie, there is a natural divide, and there's a bit more crossover now than there used to be. But honestly, I don't get involved really with any delivery now, in terms of our social media retainers, because...
How did that feel when you first let that go, though? Unnerving?
I think the word micromanage might have been used a few times.
There's that sibling relationship.
And I think I did. Yeah.
Difficult.
I think it was difficult, and I think it was also probably really difficult for Tabs, because she's like, oh my God, I can do it. Like, not that she ever said that, but, obviously she's like, oh my God, can you just do what you're good at? Because although I love it, that's not where my main skills lie. So, whereas, for example, the relationship client side of things, the overall kind of strategy is where I find my groove, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Tabs is quite happy to be a bit more behind the scenes, getting everything going. So it was definitely the right thing to do. But and I'm so much better for it. And so is she, and she's amazing. But that was a bit of an interesting transition, I think.
Yeah. And I remember when, so go back like 4 years, and were we just out of COVID when you first started UnScripted? Just off the back of...
So I was working part-time, and I was kind of freelancing on the side a little bit. And then, I think it was about, maybe 6, 7, 8 months after that.
And I remember you saying to me, oh, I'm going to this networking thing. Do you want to come? It was when the world was just waking back up again. And I was like, I just don't like networking, Hannah. Like, it's just not for me. But you were the networking queen, and you gave me that sort of fire in my belly to be like, Kate, you must do better. Because like you say, I am also like you. I'm a relationship person. I love conversations. I'm a sociable person. I'm a bit of an introvert when I want to be. In work, I'm a bit of an introvert, but outside of work, I'm an extrovert. Yeah. But actually, it was that, Kate, I'm going. Are you coming? Yes, Hannah, I'm coming. And then as the world has sort of, woken up and we've come fully out of COVID, now I don't think twice about going to a networking event. But you are still firmly in my head, like, you need to go to those things, Kate. Whereas before, I'd even say to my team, like, oh, I'm not going to go. Like, I don't need to be there. Well, actually, I did need to be there, and I should be in the room. So I think that's a really good learner around being present.
Yeah.
And building relationships.
Totally. And I think I would say as well, when we're sort of talking about, I don't know if I'm skipping it here, but, advice, I don't feel like I have much solid advice, because I think so much of it you learn as you go.
Yeah.
And no one can prepare you. But I think one of the things I would say is, get out there, build your network, because honestly, in the really tough times, they've been there, and the business community down, I think wherever is, is really strong, and there's always going to be, loads of sort of politics going on. But I think I know I've got 30 people at least that if I really needed to, I can call and be like, oh my God, today's been a really tough day.
Yeah. What's
happening? What do I do next? And someone will help. Again, if you're like us and you're kind of people, whatever. That's the new phrase. Just being in those rooms do light you up. And I think also it gets you out of your head. It gets you out of, away from your desk. And yeah, I'd say might be bold here and say like 99% of our business comes through referral.
Oh, that is bold. Yeah. But it's so true. So true.
And, we're in an industry that we can do that. I know there are lots of businesses that maybe don't work in the same way, but yeah, most of our clients will know someone who knows someone or would have seen us somewhere. And that is, the most valuable.
I think it is lead,
I would say. Yeah.
It is the most valuable. Like referrals from a business inbound sort of lead perspective is just insane. It's what you would always want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Referrals to be your number one, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'd say like, I don't know, you guys are absolutely smashing your own marketing. I would say don't spend enough time on our own marketing. But one of the things I do spend time on is that networking people thing.
Yeah.
And luckily for us, a few of our clients are in the event space. They're in the membership space. So we can kind of utilize that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we spend probably all our marketing.
Someone said to me once actually, and it's worth sharing, instead of, so from an agency perspective and you're thinking about, if you're quiet or if you're like twiddling your thumbs, which never really happens, but I don't think I ever sit there twiddling my thumbs, but you get the point.
I was going to say, are you ever quiet?
No. As in, yes, we are, but I don't sit there twiddling my thumbs because there's always stuff to do. But somebody said to me a really good piece of advice, and it was, Kate, just sit really quietly with a coffee and just go through your phone book. Like, don't go on LinkedIn, outreach to somebody, send an email, inquiry, or whatever. Like, go through your contact list on your phone book because you've built what you've built based on your network. Your network is your little black book, which is in your phone. And I'm like, that sounds so easy, but why am I not doing that? So now I try really hard to step back into that and be like, okay, let's do it. Let's sit and have a coffee and look at who I've got in my phone book.
Yeah, totally. And actually, I think if you can also do that with a few people, you end up finding that they then have something they might want your help with, or, and it's kind of that relational thing where it's back and forth. And people don't forget that.
No. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because, so I think when we first were in an agency together, we were so young. We were so young. We had so much fun though. Yeah. We did have so much fun. Yeah. But just thinking about like year one of business, like unscripted marketing versus where you are now.
Wow.
How does it look? Does it look really different?
So different. And I feel like, do you know what? Year one was really good actually, I think, because you're fresh, you're new, you're starting out. Like, again, because of the timing of the world, I think, that was fine. I'd say year 2 and 3 were the hardest. They were pretty shit, to be honest. And I'd say it's only in the last 6 months that we've really flourished, maybe, and we're finding our feet. And I think it's in those years where, I think that's, it does take years. It's not really quick. And if it is really quick, then that's great. But I don't think that's the norm. So yeah, we came crashing down. Like year one was really good. We had some of our best months still to date. And I think we took it for granted actually. And I, wasn't in a very good space mentally. And I think I made a lot of mistakes, let a lot of people down. And it would have been really easy to give up, I think then. And actually, for Tabs as well, obviously I was the one that needed the mortgage. So, she had to rely on her partner for finances. It could have been so easy for her to be like, do you know what, I'm out.
Yeah.
And it makes me a bit emotional because she didn't. And she believed in us and believed in me, I guess, to rise to the challenge. And yeah, here we are, and we're, touch wood, feeling better than we ever have. So I think it's that middle stage that maybe we're not aware of. It's like, yeah, you feel like you're going up, and then, oh, well, what do you do when it all comes crashing down?
Yeah. And they in the industry, they talk about sustainable growth, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's a massive, and we work in the e-coms world and it's all about, growth and scaling and all of that stuff. But actually sometimes it's just about surviving.
Yeah. And again, actually, that's a really good point, because I think there's not enough talk about, okay, but how do you actually just survive? I think it's really easy, again, going back to kind of social media specifically, you look at everybody's growing, everyone's here, everyone's there, and it's really
the imposter syndrome kicks in a little bit.
And it's like, okay, you're telling me I need this sales process, or I need this, or, you know, I need to be able to invest. And it's like, we're not even bringing our own salaries in, you know, let alone anything else. So how do we actually do that when times are really tough? And I think, you know, the only thing really is just to keep going, isn't it? Which in those moments feels really hard in itself.
Yeah.
I think there's like some sort of quote around, you know, just be 1% better than the day before.
Yeah.
So whatever that looks like. I think it was a talk we were at recently, and it's so true. You know, if you can just get out of bed some days, fuck it, you've done it, you know?
Turn on your laptop.
Just turn it on, even if you have to like
shut it again.
But, you know, it's true. It's those like micro steps to get to the bigger picture. And it does, you know, if you're doing something it will work out. And I'm sure it will come all crashing down again at some point, you know, and we'll have to rebuild again and
survive.
You know, yeah.
I think it's a massively underestimated term that actually should be talked about more. And yes, you know, growing sustainably, really important, putting all those foundations in, but surviving is number one.
And I think there's a lot of talk as well. Another kind of thing that's talked about a lot is burnout.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought it up. It's such a buzzword. I hate it. Oh, I hate the word.
Tabs and I talk about this all the time. Now, we are not for 1 second saying it's not a thing or that it doesn't exist.
You're just tired, aren't you?
Oh. Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, I do feel like a lot of us, we are in constant burnout.
Yeah.
Amazing if you have the opportunity to take some months out of work or out of business, you know, fucking go for it. For the majority of us, we just have to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, there isn't a backup. I could talk about it all day. I'm very open that like I have mental health struggles. I think a lot of us, you know, it's just part of life now. And I probably have experienced burnout multiple times. You know, I've been really desperate. I couldn't give up. So what do you do if you can't give up? You know, what do you do if you know, because as well, you know, for me as a homeowner, things like benefits aren't readily available. So I don't actually know what I would do if I burnt out, went to the doctor and said, I can't.
I'm burnt out.
I'm burnt out. And maybe there is an answer out there. But I think for the general public, there is nothing you can do. You just have to ride through it.
And I think that makes you more resilient though, doesn't it? Because, and that's why you're sat here still and you're flourishing and thriving, because you didn't give up and you acknowledge that burnout, I believe as well, burnout is a phrase, and you're either just overstimulated with the amount of comms that are coming through to you, whether that's socials, emails, WhatsApps, whatever, or you're just really tired and mentally you just cannot.
Yeah.
You know, like I deal with burnout in inverted commas. I literally turn every possible device off and I go and sit in a dark room. My husband literally thinks I've lost the plot and he'll walk in and there's no lights on. There's nothing. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just need silence.
Yeah.
No lights, nothing. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, this is me dealing with being overstimulated and overwhelmed. And then I just need that reset.
Yeah.
But is that actually burnout? It's probably just tiredness. It's a hard one, isn't it?
Oh, so, and again, it's one of those subjects that's really difficult to talk about because you will offend someone.
Yeah.
And I think it's really easy to say things that don't take everybody's situation into consideration. So I'm a, you know, big believer in mental breakdowns and needing extra help and all that sort of stuff. Totally. I think I've seen a lot of people, for example, you know, they say about burnout and yeah, they've been able to take 3 months off work and work on themselves. Like what a luxury. And that's not to say that they didn't experience burnout. I think the problem for me is, okay, but it's the what do we do with that? So
when you run a business.
Yeah. Or you've got kids or, you know, yeah, you've got a mortgage.
Responsibilities.
You know, yeah. What do you actually do? You know, for a lot of my freelance and agency life, you know, I didn't have a second income. You know, it's me on my own with my little boy, not really any external help. So I gave up drinking. That helped me personally. That helped me a lot.
I mean, that's a big step.
But again, cool. That was a fix for me. Not everybody has that fix. You know?
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, okay, if somebody was starting an agency today, oh, this is going to be a question. What are 3 things that they should protect early?
Oh my God. Okay.
It's only 3.
Boundaries. this is a hard one, and I've only learnt it in the last 6 months. I wish I had been really clear on what my boundaries were early on and stuck to them. Their money, get an accountant as soon as you can.
A good one.
Genuinely, best investment we've ever.
Yeah.
You know, we got on really early on. Could we afford it? Probably not. We just found a way. I don't even know how actually at the beginning. But yeah, worth his weight. Third thing.
Boundaries, accountant. One more. I'll give you one.
Yeah.
Energy. Your own energy, I think, is so important.
See, I don't think I've nailed that yet, though. So
I haven't got there yet. For me,
yeah.
It's energy, standards, which is probably boundaries.
Yeah.
So very similar.
Yeah.
And confidence, which are 3 things that I fiercely try and protect.
Yeah. That's interesting. I would say then, again, maybe this is kind of boundaries as well, but what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Like protecting that, because if you're passionate and you love something and you're on that path, it will come.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to get swayed by what's happening in industry, what's happening in the world. World is a bit of a shithole at the moment.
And you can feel that like heaviness, can't you?
Yeah. Like I don't watch the news.
No,
and
I
that
don't.
angers a lot of people for some reason, like particularly the older generation.
I don't watch the news.
I can't because
But we do though. On our mobiles, I feel like we're still in tune with it. So actually, just because you don't watch the news on the telly, you still know what's going on.
Totally. And actually, I think it's okay to not know. Bold. But
yeah, I agree.
I think if it protects your peace and your energy and it protects what you're doing for your little world, like the best thing I've learned over the last year, I'd say, is just concentrate on your happy bubble. So don't worry about anything else. As long as your bubble, immediate circle is doing okay, that's fine. Because there's always going to be external shit that tries and derail you.
Yeah. And the Agency Diary. So I literally thought of this idea in bed and I was like, do you know, there's just not enough of a platform for me to go to. Like, bear in mind, we have conversations, but there's just not a wider community for us to just talk about this stuff, right? So that's why I thought of the Agency Diaries, and it was to give that platform for whether it's a founder, a marketer, freelancer, because freelancer life is just as lonely.
Yeah.
Like you're on your own.
Yeah.
I've been there, you've been there. Like it's the same principle as growing an agency as it is being a freelancer. And I just want people to stop pretending like it's really easy and everybody can do it and we're all fine and, you know, it's all this glossy stuff, because it's really hard. It's long hours. It's emotionally draining. And it tests you in every different way.
Yeah.
But I can really confidently say over the last 4 years, looking at where you are now, like that growth for you as a person is just insane. Yeah. You've absolutely flourished.
Oh, thanks, babe.
No,
so have you.
anytime. I mean it, because it's that growth journey of you're leading tabs, you're choosing which clients you want to work with. Like you can only dream of that.
Yeah.
That's a dream.
Yeah. And I think that's what we always wanted. That was the point that we wanted to get to, was we just want to be happy and we want our clients to be happy. And it's so fluffy and but
it's so true.
Ultimately, that's the truth.
And if you do work you love and you're passionate about it, you're going to do a 10 times better job.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Thank you so much for being on our pod.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. I think it's a really honest conversation of two people who have done it at the same time, grown together. I hope we continue to grow together over the next 10 years.
Oh my God, we should do a
10 year. No, let's not do 10, let's do 5.
Yeah, let's do a 5-year revisit.
Yeah, where we are. Would we be grey then? Maybe.
There's hair dye.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Hannah.
Thank you.